Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars, and welcome to my second Rutger Hauer classic film review. I said last week when I did the Blind Fury review that I was going to do 3 classic film reviews from Rutger Hauer, followed by a top 10 list of my favourite Rutger Hauer films. And that going forward will be the format for many of my classic film reviews. I think I'm going to try and focus on that. I think it's a pretty cool concept, for often as I can anyway. And today it is 1987's Wanted Dead or Alive, a film that starred Rutger Hauer, Gene Simmons from Kiss, who played quite a few baddies in the 80s. We have Robert Guillaume and we have Mel Harris, and the film was directed by Gary Sherman. Now this is a film that I used to watch constantly in the 80s and 90s. I had it on VHS, and for a long time it was arguably my favourite Rutger Hauer film. But as I've grown and matured, it is still one of my favourite Rutger Hauer films, but there are others that I prefer now, I suppose I would go as far as saying. But this is a really solid 80s action thriller, I suppose you could say. Really head up by a great performance by Rutger Hauer. And this film focuses on his character, Nick Randall, who is an ex-CIA agent who is now a bounty hunter. And you see that at the beginning of the film. He tracks down a bounty and he's pretty vicious about it, but he's not right keen on a bounty hunt. He thinks it's a pretty slimy business, so he's wanting to make enough money so that he can do up his boat and sail around the world with his girlfriend, played by Mel Harris, which I believe this film was her first acting role. I could be wrong, but I think she got an introductory credit on the film. But unbeknownst to him, Gene Simmons' character Malak Al Rahim comes into the US, who is a renowned vicious terrorist who has a history with Rutger Hauer's character Nick Randall. Comes into America and immediately starts bombing things. So immediately after his first terrorist act, the CIA turn up at Nick's boat and basically rehire him, and they want him to track down Malak Al Rahim and his extremists and take them out. Now Rutger Hauer agrees to this because of his history with this character Malak Al Rahim, and sets off trying to track him down. But unbeknownst to him, he's actually being led down the garden path and led into a trap by the CIA. They have leaked information to Malak Al Rahim that Nick Randall was involved in the death of many of his friends years ago. So they're hoping to lure Nick into a trap and expose Malak Al Rahim as he tries to kill him, and then they could take him down. But it fails. That trap fails. And he has to then go rogue. Nick Randall has to go underground completely to do his job. And the Malak Al Rahim and his extremists make it personal between Nick Randall and them, and he's then vowed to take down this terrorist team in the US, headed up by Gene Simmons. Right, so that's the basic skeleton outline of this film, and like I've said, it's a really solid 80s action film with a great performance by Rutger Hauer, who at the time was, I suppose, riding a wave in the 80s. It's probably his strongest decade, I think, for sure, in regards to movies. And I think this was in 1987, but it was fairly close to the Hitches, so it was fairly hot property at the time, Rutger Hauer. But most people, I suppose you could say, were used to him as the villain at this point in his career. He'd done 3 pretty standout villainous performances in the 80s, but he really stands out here, I think, as a really heroic character. And you do see at time he is hurt on a personal level in this film, and you could see his acting is on another level from many of the actors in the 80s who were doing action flicks, the Van Dammes, the Seagals, the Arnies, even the Stallone. Rutger Hauer for me was a good action star, with a very, very strong acting performance in, generally speaking, all his films. Even when he went in the low budget stuff in the 90s and beyond, when he made his B-movie low budget films, his performances usually always were top notch. He usually always gave a good performance in most of his films, and here it is no exception. This film is fairly brutal at times. You could argue reasonably relevant by today's standards. And another really good performance in this film was Gene Simmons, who plays Malak Al Rahim, who was just brilliant as villains in movies. He just had that look of absolute evil sinisterness. He was really, really well cast. This is my personal favourite film that Gene Simmons has ever done. I think he was brilliant in it. He really, really was. Cold, heartless killer. And he worked really well in this role. Everybody else, all the other supporting cast is good. Robert Gulami plays his ex-partner who's backing him up, and he does a really good job too. And I just really like the film in the fact that when it gives you the action, it's really good. Nick's character is really endearing, and he's rock hard. He does not mess about, and it's almost like an investigation movie as well, because he's got to piece the puzzle together. He's got to track down this terrorist, these terrorists that are on US soil. So you actually see him investigating as well and trying to track them down, and also avoid and watch his own back because the CIA are out to get him as well. So a really good, cool 80s action flick this, and a really, really strong Rutger Hauer film, and definitely one of his best. And I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's definitely worth a watch if you've never seen it. If you're a fan of Rutger Hauer, I'm sure you have, and for those of you who have seen it, leave me some comments. Let me know what you think my third Rutger Hauer is going to be that I'm going to be reviewing, and let me know maybe what your top 10 list might look like in regards to Rutger Hauer films for when I do my top 10 list. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time on Screen Stars.